Professor Amos N. Wilson is a former social caseworker, supervising probation officer, psychological counselor, training administrator in New York City Department of Juvenile Justice, and assistant professor of psychology at the City University of New York. Born in Hattiesburg, Mississippi in 1941, Amos completed his undergraduate degree at the acclaimed Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. He later migrated to New York, where he attained his PhD from Fordham University in New York City. Familiarly referred to as Brother Amos, he availed himself for numerous appearances at educational, cultural, and political organizations such as the First World Alliance, the African Poetry Theatre, African Echoes, House of Our Lord Church, the Patrice Lumumba Coalition, the Slave Theatre, and CEMOTAP, CEMOTAP, to name just a few. His travels took him throughout the United States to Canada and the Caribbean. Dr. Wilson's activities transcended academia into the field of business, owning and operating various enterprises in the greater New York area. A prolific writer, Dr. Amos Wilson has penned other pertinent works in the areas of education, child development, and therapeutic psychology, which we hope to share with our readers in the near future. And this book was published by African World Systems, I believe is the name of the publisher. Yeah, African World Info Systems. So you see there, Baba Amos Wilson, he didn't get to go to the continent of Africa by the sounds of things. So that's a shame. He would have done. He died in 1997 or 1998. He was only 53 years old. So taken basically in the prime of his life. But like I said, he left us with this, and we're very fortunate that he did do that. So, like I said, I won't read the dedication and whatnot. I'll just skip straight into the actual. Where are we? Here we go. I'll skip to the foreword. Yeah, let's go to the foreword. This is on page 1, written by Dr. Amos Wilson. I'm going to read the foreword for the book, The Blueprint for Black Power. Make sure that if you're in the chat, please make sure that you like the video for the algorithm. And of course, after the stream finishes, it will be archived for supporters of the channel, only Black Stars and Rising Africans. And if you want to sign up, you can do so. You can go to the Patreon if that's more familiar with you, or you can go to the Substack there, which is scrolling along the page. So here we are, the foreword. The forums, conferences, conventions, workshops, lectures, talks, teach-ins, seminars, informal conversations, everyday encounters, newspaper, magazine, and journal articles, radio, and programs to which the African American community is exposed with profusive and bewildering frequency, almost invariably involve discussions of some aspect of white American oppression and Black American victimization. Such discussions in their various incarnations have, no doubt, taken place since 1619, when the first Africans enslaved arrived on this continent. In seeking to develop various means for coping with their oppression, these colloquies, lectures, soliloquies, monologues, programs, essays, and articles seek to answer the questions, among others: why do whites oppress us? By what means are we oppressed by them? How may we end our oppression? Many answers to the first of this triumvirate of questions have been proposed. They run the gamut from the sublime, i.e., that whites are divinely ordained to be the oppressors of blacks, to the ridiculous, e.g., that whites are inherently more intelligent than blacks and are thus naturally enabled to dominate them, whether as determined by God or by chance. Of course, there are many interesting proposed answers which fall in between the extremes of this continuum, including the white man's icy origins in contrast to the sunny beginnings of the black man, as reflected in their contrasting frigid and temperate predispositions. That's a little echo to Iceman Inheritance, Francis Cress Welsing, perhaps, to an extent. We talked about Dr. King's The Black Dot. You know, those are the guys who talked about the idea that, you know, of course, Sheikh Anta Diop talked about that, the dual cradle theory. He speaks about that environmental deterministic view of European and African differences. Also included is the minority white man's inordinate need to steadfastly guard his recessive gene pool, the pristine source of his racial purity and identity, against pollutive and misogynist admixture with the majority black man's dominant gene pool. So that's a reference to Francis Cress Welsing, amongst others. Francis Cress Welsing's The ISIS Papers is probably the most well-known and sustained example of that genetic inferiority idea of explaining white oppression and white aggression towards Africans. Declarations proposed as answers to the first question implicitly answer the second. Color, its intensity, has been accepted as the measure of God's favor, from blessedness to cursedness, from brilliant giftedness to dim-wittedness, from cold calculation to warm gullibility, from vulnerable recessiveness to threatening domination. Therefore, the darker ones, the darkest race, is destined to grasp at the shorter end of the stick, to remain unaccepted, unassimilated. If you're white, you're all right. If you're yellow, you're mellow. If you're brown, stick around. If you're black, stay back. So the sayings go. However, a brief review of history very quickly disabuses us of the idea that color, or the lack of it, is destiny. For the white man's ascendance has been but a moment in the history of mankind. The 500-year rise of Europe, the 200-year rise of the United States, even the lifetimes of the Greek, Roman, and Holy Roman empires are but flashpoints in time relative to Egypt's 10,000 years, the ancientness of Ethiopia, the 1,000 years of Ghana, and the thousands of years of a plethora of African kingdoms and empires, free, virile, ingenious, and independent. For Europe is Africa's wayward bastard child, and therefore not her ordained master. So Europe and her white children's supremacy today must be accounted for in far less than cosmological terms. For their supremacy, like the supremacy of any race, is but the ascendancy of the mundane, and their fall from grace will be but the result of the working of mundane forces. Wow, okay, so that's good, that's interesting. He's saying all that stuff about Iceman inheritance and genetic, all this sort of stuff, and any divine ideas about the divine God has ordained that African Americans, but just Africans worldwide, should be oppressed by the Europeans and so forth. Hebrew Israelites make that argument. All that stuff is saying, no. Kind of forget most of that stuff as far as understanding why Europeans oppress Africans. He's saying, nope, it's purely down to very straightforward, simple factors. Mundane factors, he calls it. He says, hence, our answers to the three questions will be starkly terrestrial. The white man possesses African peoples because he possesses the power to do so. The black man is oppressed because he has not developed the power to prevent his oppression. His oppression will end when the power of his oppressor is countered by his own power. More specifically to the point, no matter how we choose to explain white oppression or global supremacy, whether cosmologically or mundanely, the ultimate reason the white man does what he does is because he possesses the power to do so. The reason why the black man is victimized by white power is because he has not developed the power to prevent his victimization. Therefore, if the black man is to prevent his victimization by the white man, he must neutralize, balance, or destroy the power imbalance. Sorry, where am I? The power differential, which favors his domination by the white man. The black man, the African race, must study power, its sources, its acquisition, its increase, its preservation, and its application to the successful achievement of his liberation from white oppression and to enhance his autonomous quality of life. It is to this end that these volumes are dedicated. It is our intent here not to be ingeniously original or purely academic, for we wish to solve practical problems which revolve around the development of African power.